Iran does not need aircraft carriers. It does not need fifth-generation stealth fighters. Its military doctrine is not built around global power projection. It is built around denial, attrition, and cost imposition. In strategic terms, Iran does not seek dominance. It seeks deterrence through saturation. Today, on the 26th of February 2026, tensions between the US and Iran are at a critical point. Negotiations in Geneva are ongoing in round 3. The US has deployed its largest air and naval presence in the Middle East since 2003, including 2 carrier strike groups and hundreds of fighter bombers, while Iran has conducted exercises simulating closure of the Fano-Bano, Strait of Hormuz, and threatened temporary disruptions to shipping. To understand Iran's position, we examine its force structure operationally, based on the latest 2026 data from Global Firepower, Israeli assessments, CSIS, RAND, and other defense analyses. Iran maintains approximately 610,000 active duty personnel, supported by roughly 350,000 reserves and 220,000 paramilitary forces. Parallel to the regular armed forces, Artesh stands the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, which is not just another branch, but the strategic core of Iran's deterrence. The IRGC controls ballistic and cruise missile forces, asymmetric naval operations, and coordination of regional proxies. This dual structure, regular army plus IRGC, creates redundancy, significantly increasing survivability against initial strikes. On the ground, Iran fields close to 2,675 main battle tanks, many legacy T-72 variants or domestically upgraded designs. These would not dominate in open maneuver warfare against top Western armor, but Iran does not plan for that kind of fight. Iran plans for depth. Its mountainous terrain, narrow corridors, and limited armored avenues favor layered defense where numerical density outweighs technological superiority. Artillery is a more decisive ground asset. Hundreds of self-propelled guns, thousands of towed pieces, and over 1,550 multiple launch rocket systems. This delivers high-volume fire for area denial and sustained suppression, trading precision for overwhelming pressure. Anti-tank doctrine is asymmetric. Systems like Delavi and Almas are distributed across sectors to engage armored advances at standoff ranges, slowing momentum, inflicting attrition, and disrupting operational tempo. Short-range air defenses, manpads, and anti-aircraft guns protect critical nodes such as depots, bridges, and logistics hubs, recognizing that supply lines, not just frontline combat, determine long-term endurance. Air power remains a clear weakness. Iran's Air Force operates several hundred aircraft with uneven readiness. Many date back decades with limited stealth, airborne early warning, or network sensor fusion compared to Western standards. Iran cannot achieve or sustain air superiority against the United States in a conventional conflict, and its planners know this. Instead of chasing parity in the air, Iran has prioritized air defense. Layered systems including S-300 variants and the domestic Bavar 373 form a multi-tier integrated air defense network. The goal is not an impenetrable shield, no system achieves that, but to dramatically raise the cost and timeline of enemy suppression of air defenses, SEAD, dead. The longer suppression efforts take, the greater the strategic uncertainty and resource drain on the adversary. Naval doctrine follows the same asymmetric logic. Iran does not pursue blue water fleets for power projection. It focuses on confined water disruption in the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz. Small submarines optimized for mine laying and ambush, fast attack craft, and suicide boats enable swarm tactics. These are not intended to outright defeat a carrier strike group, but to compress reaction times, overload defensive burdens, and elevate perceived risk. In energy corridors like the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly 20% of global oil flows, heightened risk perception translates directly into economic leverage. A temporary disruption could spike oil prices to $200 to $300 per barrel, imposing massive costs on the global economy and pressuring political will. Missiles represent Iran's most potent capability, the largest ballistic and cruise missile arsenal in the Middle East. The June 2025 one-two-day war caused heavy losses. Pre-war estimates placed stocks at around 2,500 to 3,000 missiles. Post-war assessments from Israeli intelligence, Alma Center, and others indicate remaining inventory shrank to 1,000 to 1,500 missiles. After firing to 550 and destruction of a third to half the stockpile, with mobile launchers reduced to roughly 100 to 200 serviceable units from hundreds pre-war. Air defenses and longer-range production facilities were also hit hard. Yet, Iran is rebuilding rapidly. Production rates of 100-plus missiles per month, especially solid fuel types like Sejil, Khaibar Shekin, and hypersonic Fateh, suggest stocks could recover to 2,000 to 3,000 or more by 2027 if uninterrupted. Short and medium-range systems like Fateh, 3, 6, 0, and Zulfahar can strike U.S. bases in the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain in minutes. Longer-range options reach 2,000 kilometers. Drones, especially low-cost Shahed 136 types, add volume, with production in the thousands per month, proven effective in saturation roles as seen in Ukraine. Doctrine centers on salvo launches, mixed waves of ballistic, cruise, and loitering munitions to target interception capacity rather than individual precision. Modern defenses, Patriot, THAAD, Arrow, achieve high intercept rates, but are finite. Each interceptor costs millions. Radar channels have limits. This is the saturation threshold pushing adversaries toward depletion. Even modest successful penetrations against hardened targets can shift escalation dynamics. Survivability is emphasized. Underground facilities, dispersed mobile launchers, and hidden complexes reduce preemptive strike vulnerability. Sustainability, however, remains constrained. Sanctions limit advanced components, and high-intensity replenishment is challenging compared to major powers. Iran structures for short to medium duration, high-intensity regional escalation cycles with psychological and economic impact, not prolonged conventional war against a superpower with global logistics. The United States holds overwhelming advantages, ranked 1-inch global firepower 2026 PwrIndx to 0.0741, with a defense budget 831 billion USD, 90 times Iran's 1.33 million active personnel, 1,791 fighters, 11 carriers, and unmatched ISR and sustainment. Iran ranks 16 PwrIndx 0.3199 with outdated air and conventional naval forces. But Iran does not compete on US terms. It optimizes anti-access, area denial A2, AD within its narrower bandwidth, denying freedom of action in the Gulf rather than projecting power outward. RAND and CSIS analyses highlight that Iran's A2AD raises intervention costs to levels where even a superpower reconsiders benefits. In a hypothetical 30-day escalation, post-2025 data shows US-Israel expended 100 to 150 THAAD interceptors, global stock to 500 to 600, slow production and strained Patriot reserves. Iran, despite losses, retains significant short, medium-range missiles and is rebuilding launchers and stocks. Salvo saturation could deplete interceptors and overload radars faster than replenishment allows. The decisive variables are endurance, missile versus interceptor stocks, economic resilience amid oil shocks, and political tolerance for costs. Iran cannot win a total conventional war against the United States. It does not need to. Its goal is to impose sufficient expense in blood, treasure, and domestic support to deter escalation beyond acceptable thresholds. In contemporary conflict, victory is less about battlefield dominance and more about strategic durability. Survivable deterrence making any attack too painful to sustain can be enough to alter outcomes. What do you think? Will the Geneva talks lead to de-escalation or further tension? Drop your predictions in the comments. Like if this breakdown was useful, share with others following Middle East developments, and subscribe with notifications for more 2026 military updates. Thanks for watching.